wave and a thumbs up. That's what happened moments ago. The original angle that we showed you was from across the street, and that was the pool coverage camera that we just got in. We're also waiting for the video that was done at Walter Reed, where the president spoke to the people who had cared for him there. We expect we're going to get that in shortly as well. Carl, let me go to you. The comment, "Don't be afraid of COVID," from President Trump. You just heard what Robert had to say about it. He saw it as, heartless to the 200,000 people who have lost family members. Is that the way you read it?
Look, I love the Monday morning quarterbacking. You want to know what Joe Biden was thinking about and the people around him in January, February, and March as this came on and the president was treating it with seriousness? Biden opposed the travel ban on China and the travel ban on Europe. Erwin Rhinelander, one of his key advisors on COVID, said that the idea that this would turn into a global pandemic was highly unlikely. On the day the first American died, Dr. Zeke Emanuel, one of his top advisors on the issue, said, quote, "Don't go out and buy a mask, it won't work." Ron Klain, who's his chief advisor, who has now mysteriously disappeared, said that we don't face a health pandemic, we face, quote, "a fear pandemic," accusing the president of overhyping it. Several times, both Klain and Emanuel said, as spring comes up, the virus will go down. On March 13th, Joe Biden wrote a op-ed outlining his plan. Never said the word mask, never said the word social distancing, never said the word lockdown. And in June, when he had his first interview, the first interview on Joy Reid's show, he was the first guest. She said, "What would you do as president?" He listed off 6 things that he would do as president, all of which Donald Trump had done. So look, in politics, you get to do Monday morning quarterbacking, but this Monday morning quarterbacking by Joe Biden and his surrogates is a little egregious. That guy didn't have a handle on this last spring while the president was doing his very best to come to grips with it and was instead opposing the president on most of the steps that he took last spring.
Robert, how do you respond to that?
Well,
we have videotape on all of those things that Carl just mentioned. So
you should play the videotape because I hate going down in the ditch. But we're talking about a president who thought there would be 15 cases. There's 7 million plus.
But
Robert, we should just talk.
Here's
facts.
The thing, Robert.
That's ridiculous.
Everybody. This is an unprecedented situation in this country, right? And everybody was scrambling to try to figure out where this thing was going. It was like a beast that you couldn't wrap your arms around. And in the beginning, there was a reason to think that maybe it could be contained at that time. The president took some actions, like shutting down travel from China, that he feels made a big difference. Dr. Fauci said it made a big difference. And the fact of the matter is that the things that Joe Biden said at that time were also not correct and did not demonstrate that he would have handled it any differently. In fact, there are things that he wouldn't have done, like the travel ban, which he said was xenophobic. So, it's easy to say these things now, but
Martha, but I'm not sitting here now. In the last 2 days, we've had over 50,000 cases each day. That's more than where we were months ago. It is not getting better. He is the president of the United States, and we are not having the reopenings take place. There's not a proper protocol for schooling. It's not getting better. Those are facts. Look at Kentucky.
No, that's not true. That is not true. With all due respect,
that's not true.
That's not true.
It is getting better.
The number of deaths today. The number of deaths today is about a third or less than it was in March and April. And yes, the cases are up because we're going back to school, and all those college kids aren't getting tested. But the number of deaths and the hospitalizations are down. And let me say one last thing. Robert took a whack at red states. I would remind you that the biggest state in the country with the largest number of deaths is a blue state, followed by another blue state. New York has more deaths than California, Texas, and Florida combined because a governor of your state made a stupid decision and put COVID patients into nursing homes. And I don't hear the Democrats out there saying it's blood on the hands of Andrew Cuomo. It is disgusting what people are doing let me finish, Robert, to lay at the feet of President Trump the death of every American. This is way over the top and unacceptable. And even in the polarized era that we live in, is just over the top.
I want to give Sarah, I want to give you a last word there.
Well, I think Carl's absolutely right. The way that the Democrats have tried to politicize every single thing, the president took early action, decisive action. In fact, the very actions that he took that most likely saved millions of American lives are places that the Democrats were the most critical of this president. His quick, smart moves saved a lot of American lives. Certainly, I think we have learned a significant amount from where this started. I think that's what the president was talking about when he was putting those comments out earlier today. We have come a long way. That's why Carl's exactly right. It has gotten much better. And part of the reason for that is the Trump administration has gotten a lot of that red tape out of the way so we can let the scientists who Democrats love to lean on, as long as they agree with them, do what they do best. And that is figure out how best to deal with this pandemic, figure out how best to treat people. They've gotten much, much better. That's why we're seeing the president, who is so tough, such a fighter, return back and get ready to go right back at it just days after being diagnosed. I think we have made significant progress. And Robert, I think it is shameful what the Democrats constantly try to blame this president for, when Carl's exactly right. The places where it has been the worst is at the hands of Democrat governors.
Let me just say before I thank you all, that the president is in a difficult position right now in the polls. This is obviously a very big issue. Americans will have the final say on who they think handled this well and who they think can handle it best going forward. And that happens 29 days from now. Sarah, thank you very much. Robert Wolf, thank you very much. Carl Rove, thank you as well. We'll see you all.
Thank you.